All right, so we've got this transcript you sent over about, well, personal growth and conquering challenges. Sounds like you're looking for some serious inspiration, right? Some real actionable strategies. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. Ready to dive in?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's fascinating how this speaker keeps coming back to this idea of stepping into discomfort.
Yeah.
He really hammers home the point that if you want to grow, you have to be willing to be vulnerable.
He even compares those challenging times to being like caught in a storm,
Mm-hmm.
which, let's be honest, none of us exactly enjoys. But he doesn't just leave us there weathering the elements. He uses this incredible example of a guy pulling 400 pounds across Antarctica. It's just mind-blowing how he found strength and even connection through that suffering.
Yeah, it makes you really reconsider what you think you're capable of.
Right.
You know, his point is that when you push past that comfort zone, when you face that intense difficulty head on, that's where the real transformation happens.
So think about a time when you were facing your own personal storm. It doesn't have to be as extreme as pulling a sled across a frozen continent. But what did you learn from that challenge? What kind of strength did you discover in yourself?
I think a lot of us get stuck in this loop of apologizing for our past. You know, we carry this baggage around, let it define us.
Mm-hmm.
This speaker throws down a serious challenge. Stop saying sorry so much. Instead, focus on the growth that came from those experiences.
It reminds me of my friend Dave. He's always been big on celebrating milestones, even the small ones. It really highlights the importance of being present and recognizing how far you've already come.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder how often we're so busy beating ourselves up, for past missteps that we completely miss celebrating our current wins.
Yeah.
It could be a fascinating experiment. Try it for a week. Replace sorry with gratitude. See if you notice a shift in your mindset.
He also dives into this idea of playing a different game, which I have to admit kind of threw me at first. He's talking about how we can get so focused on winning within a set of limited rules that we forget to look at the bigger picture.
Right.
Right.
He uses that example of a friend who felt totally stuck with his fitness routine. It wasn't until he found a gym with, get this, daycare,
Oh, wow.
that things changed. That one small change removed a huge obstacle. He calls it the rock. And he was back on track.
So I think the challenge here is for you to figure out what your rock is. What's that one thing that's really holding you back? Then think about one small step you can take today to start chipping away at it.
This next part is where things get really interesting. He basically throws this whole idea of perfection out the window.
Yeah.
And he introduces this Japanese concept of kintsugi. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I've seen pictures. It's where they repair broken pottery with gold, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about fixing something broken. It's about highlighting those imperfections, celebrating the resilience it took to put the pieces back together.
He tells this amazing story about a tea master who actually saw more beauty in a repaired jar than in a flawless one. Because it had a story to tell. It's like those scars become part of its history, its character.
I love that.
Right.
So if you think about it, that's a powerful metaphor for life. It's not about striving for some perfect, untarnished existence. It's about taking those broken pieces, those imperfections, and seeing how they can be rebuilt into something even stronger, more beautiful.
So what about you? What are those broken pieces in your life that you can reframe? How can you use them to build something even more meaningful?
Another point he really drives home is that you can't lead others until you can lead yourself. It's about being the example.
Right.
He uses this analogy, I think it's Wayne Dyer, about how you can't squeeze grapefruit juice out of an orange.
Right.
It's all about delivering on the promises you make to yourself and creating an environment that supports your own growth. Yeah, it highlights the importance of self-care, investing in yourself. How can you lead others if you haven't taken the time to develop the qualities you want to share?
He also uses this metaphor of watering weeds or flowers to illustrate how we choose to focus our energy.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Are you spending your time feeding negativity and self-doubt, or are you actively nurturing your goals and values?
Think about your daily actions, your habits, even your thoughts. Are they helping you grow and move closer to your goals, or are they holding you back?
And then he shares this amazing story about how the Goo Goo Dolls song Iris came to be, and it perfectly illustrates how we can find beauty and meaning even in the midst of some serious personal struggles.
Oh, wow. Tell me more.
So picture this. He's going through a divorce,
Oof.
struggling with writer's block, dealing with a terrible record deal.
Sounds rough.
And then he gets the opportunity to write a song for the City of Angels soundtrack.
Wow.
It seems like the worst possible time for inspiration to strike.
Right?
You would think.
Yeah.
He even goes to the audition with only 2 lines written down and a guitar with 2 broken strings.
Wow. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? But somehow it was enough.
That's incredible.
And what came out of it was this incredibly powerful song. He pieced it together using elements from the movie, his own experiences, and even a random country singer's name he saw in a magazine.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
It's a perfect example of how you can create something amazing, even when you feel like you're working with very, very limited resources.
And it really makes you wonder, what seemingly insignificant tools or experiences do you have in your life that could be combined to create something truly extraordinary?
Yeah, it's all about perspective, right?
Absolutely. You know, one thing that really hit me about this speech is the focus on personal responsibility. Like, he's reminding us that we can't always control what happens to us.
Right.
We always have the power to choose how we respond.
He uses this great analogy about being a passenger in a car.
Oh, yeah.
You might complain about the route the driver's taking,
Right.
but ultimately they're the one in control.
It's a great way to illustrate the point.
Yeah.
So often we give away our power, by focusing on things we can't change.
Yeah.
Instead, he encourages us to recognize those moments and consciously choose to, take the wheel.
And he also talks about not letting fear hold you back. In fact, he suggests that fear can actually be an ally.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
He quotes Joseph Campbell saying, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek."
Ooh, I like that.
A powerful idea. The things that scare us often hold the greatest potential for growth.
So instead of avoiding those fears, he's saying we should lean into them, see them as opportunities to push ourselves beyond, what we thought we were capable of.
Exactly.
Right. And he makes it clear that we don't have to do it alone. There are mentors, friends, family, even strangers who've kind of walked a similar path who can offer support and guidance along the way.
It takes a village, right?
I thought it was really impactful when he talked about focusing on what you can control, especially during challenging times. He poses this question: things outside of my control may have brought me here, but what can I do to fix it?
It's subtle, but it's profound.
Right.
Instead of dwelling on the problem, we can choose to focus on solutions, on actions we can take to actually move forward.
He also shares a personal story about how fear and self-doubt used to hold him back. It's pretty brave of him to be so open about his struggles.
It's definitely vulnerable, but it makes his message even more relatable. What's inspiring is that he was able to overcome those limitations by focusing on what he wanted to create rather than what he was afraid of.
He talks about developing a growth mindset, believing that you are capable of change and evolution. He compares it to a field of sunflowers, growing one root, one stem, one petal at a time.
I love that image.
Right. It reminds us that even the most ambitious goals can be achieved through consistent effort. Small steps. Like the life you envision for yourself, even if it seems far off right now, is always possible.
That's a good reminder.
He encourages us to set our sights on what we want and take consistent action towards it, even if it's just one small step at a time.
He also emphasizes the importance of patience, trusting the process. He used the analogy of a lily pond that doubles in size every day.
Oh, I've heard that one.
For the longest time, it looks like nothing's happening.
Right.
And then suddenly, the whole pond is covered in lily pads.
It's so easy to forget that growth can be exponential like that.
It's a great reminder that, we may not see the results of our efforts immediately, but that doesn't mean they're not there.
He also talks about the importance of celebrating those wins, no matter how small, and recognizing how far you've already come.
Shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Right, appreciating the progress you've made, even if you haven't reached your final destination. Now, one of the most intriguing parts for me was when he brought up this Japanese philosophy of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's a beautiful metaphor for, how we can take those broken pieces of our lives and create something even stronger and more beautiful.
He tells that story about a tea master who treasured a repaired jar more than a flawless one.
Yeah.
And the reason It had character, it had a story.
So powerful.
It's a powerful reminder that our imperfections and vulnerabilities aren't something to be ashamed of, but something to, embrace and celebrate.
Instead of hiding those broken pieces, he encourages us to see them as opportunities for growth and transformation. Use them to create a more authentic and meaningful life.
I love that idea.
He also talks about letting go of the need for perfection,
Yeah.
embracing the, messy, imperfect beauty of being human.
Which is all of us.
Yeah. It makes you realize that striving for perfection can actually be a form of self-sabotage. True beauty lies in those imperfections. That's what makes us unique and relatable.
And in those imperfections, he says, we often find our greatest strengths.
He also emphasizes the importance of being kind to ourselves, practicing self-compassion, especially when we, make mistakes or fall short of our expectations.
It's easy to beat ourselves up, but it's crucial to remember that we're all works in progress, right?
Right.
We don't have to have it all figured out right now.
And he encourages us to view those mistakes as opportunities for growth and learning, not as failures.
Developing a growth mindset, believing that we're capable of learning and evolving over time. That's key here.
He challenges us to be curious, to experiment, to try new things, even if we're not sure we'll succeed.
It's about embracing the unknown, right?
Right.
Being open to those new possibilities.
He also talks about surrounding yourself with a supportive community of people who believe in you, encourage your growth.
We all need people who will challenge us, support us, and, celebrate our successes with us.
And, equally important, he emphasizes giving back to others, using your unique talents and gifts to make a positive impact on the world.
It's about recognizing our interconnectedness. Our actions have a ripple effect on those around us.
Right. Finding ways to contribute to something larger than yourself, leaving the world a better place than you found it. That's where true fulfillment lies.
I think he's right about that.
He even talks about the importance of finding work that's meaningful and fulfilling, something that aligns with your values and passions.
Work shouldn't just be about making money. It should bring you joy, allow you to express your creativity,
Right.
make a positive impact on the world.
He encourages us to pursue those passions, to not be afraid to take risks, to step outside our comfort zones.
Yeah, believe in yourself and your ability to create a life that's both meaningful and fulfilling.
And of course, he reminds us to take time for ourselves, to practice self-care.
We can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Right.
Taking care of your own needs, physical, emotional, and mental, allows you to show up fully for others.
So often we see self-care as selfish, but he reframes it as a necessary act of self-preservation.
I like that. He talks about setting boundaries, saying no to things that drain your energy or don't align with your values.
Protecting your time and energy, making sure you're investing them in things that truly matter.
He also encourages us to be present, to savor the moment, appreciate the beauty and wonder of the world around us.
Cultivating that sense of gratitude, finding joy in the simple things. It's about reminding ourselves that life is a precious gift,
It is.
and we should make the most of every moment.
He talked about connection, building strong relationships with the people we love.
Human connection is essential for our well-being, We thrive when we feel loved, supported, and connected to others.
Nurturing those relationships, making time for the people who matter most. That's something we should all prioritize.
He also brings up the importance of forgiveness, of ourselves and others.
Right. Holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run. Forgiveness is a powerful act of self-love and healing.
Letting go of the past, moving forward with a clean slate. It's a powerful concept.
And gratitude, of course. Appreciating the good things in our lives, even when things are tough.
Making a conscious effort to focus on the positive, to cultivate that sense of gratitude for all that we have.
It's about remembering that even in the midst of challenges, there's always something to be grateful for.
He also delves into the power of mindset and choosing our thoughts carefully.
Our thoughts create our reality.
Right.
Choosing thoughts that empower us rather than limit us can make all the difference.
He uses that watering weeds or flowers metaphor again, to illustrate the importance of focusing our energy on what we want to grow in our lives.
We have control over where we direct our attention.
Right.
We can choose to focus on the positive rather than the negatives.
He talks about using affirmations, positive self-talk to reprogram our subconscious minds.
Identifying those negative beliefs that hold us back and replacing them with positive, empowering beliefs.
And visualization, using our imaginations to create the reality we desire.
Creating a clear vision of what we want and focusing our energy on bringing it into being.
He emphasizes taking aligned action, making sure our actions are consistent with our goals and intentions.
Walking the talk, as they say. Making sure our actions support our desired outcomes.
He also emphasizes persistence, not giving up on our dreams, even when we encounter, obstacles or setbacks.
Success is often the result of consistent effort over time. We shouldn't expect to achieve our goals overnight.
Staying committed to your vision, keeping moving forward even when it gets tough.
Learning from our mistakes, seeing them as opportunities for growth, not failures.
Mistakes are an inevitable part of the learning process. Don't let them discourage you.
Embrace those mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving forward.
And be willing to ask for help when you need it.
We don't have to do everything alone. There are people who are willing to support us and help us achieve our goals.
Reach out to your network of support. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
And celebrate your successes, no matter how small. Recognize how far you've come.
Right. Shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. Appreciating the progress you've made, even if you haven't reached your final destination.
Take time to acknowledge your accomplishments, celebrate those wins.
Remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. Enjoy the process of growth and transformation.
Embrace the ups and downs of life. Find joy in the journey.
One thing that really resonated with me was his discussion of the power of stories and how they connect us to ourselves and to others.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about authenticity and vulnerability in storytelling and how it can create a sense of shared humanity.
He uses that example of the Goo Goo Dolls song Iris again,
Right.
which, was written during a really challenging time in the songwriter's life.
It connected with millions of people because it spoke to this universal experience of heartbreak and longing.
He argues that when we share our stories authentically, we create a space for others to connect with their own experiences and feel less alone.
We all have stories to tell,
We do.
and those stories have the power to heal, inspire, and connect us.
He also talks about finding our own voice, sharing our unique perspective with the world.
Resisting the temptation to conform to external expectations.
Right.
Or try to be someone we're not.
Embracing our individuality, sharing our authentic selves with the world.
Our unique perspectives and experiences are valuable and have something to offer the world.
He reminds us that it's often in our imperfections and vulnerabilities that we find our greatest strengths.
Those imperfections are what make us relatable, connect us to others. It's all about embracing that messy, imperfect beauty of being human.
That idea of leading ourselves before we can lead others really stood out to me too.
Oh, yeah.
He argues that true leadership starts with self-mastery, developing the qualities we wish to inspire in others.
Remember that orange and grapefruit analogy?
Exactly. You can't give what you don't have.
It highlights the importance of self-care and self-development.
We have to be willing to make tough decisions and prioritize our own well-being to be effective leaders.
And surrounding ourselves with people who support and challenge us.
We need people in our lives who will hold us accountable, inspire us, and help us grow.
This whole section on the power of mindset was really interesting too. He argues that our thoughts create our reality, and we have the power to choose thoughts that empower us rather than limit us.
He brings back the watering weeds or flowers metaphor
Yeah.
to illustrate the importance of focusing our energy on what we want to grow in our lives.
It's a powerful reminder that we have control over where we direct our attention. We can choose to focus on the positive rather than the negative.
He talks about the importance of gratitude
Yeah.
and how it can shift our perspective and create more joy in our lives.
Making a conscious effort to appreciate the good things in our lives, even when things are tough.
He reminds us that even in the midst of challenges, there's always something to be grateful for.
And he explores this idea of discomfort, how it's often a necessary part of growth and transformation.
We shouldn't shy away from discomfort, but rather embrace it as a sign that we're pushing beyond our limits.
Right, like a muscle. It needs to be broken down in order to grow stronger.
Growth often involves discomfort. Don't let the fear of discomfort hold you back from pursuing your goals.
He also talks about developing resilience.
Oh yeah, the ability to bounce back from setbacks.
Setbacks are an inevitable part of life. It's not about avoiding them, but learning to navigate them effectively.
Seeing setbacks as opportunities for learning and growth.
Developing a mindset that allows us to see challenges as opportunities rather than threats. He talks about the importance of self-care for our well-being and our ability to show up fully in the world.
Self-care is not selfish. It's a necessary act of self-preservation.
Right. Prioritizing our physical, emotional, and mental health.
Setting boundaries, saying no to things that drain our energy or don't align with our values.
And then he moves into this really thought-provoking discussion about the power of intention and how it can shape our reality.
Our intentions create our reality.
Right.
We have to be intentional about what we want to create in our lives.
Setting clear intentions, focusing our energy on what we want to manifest.
Taking aligned action, trusting the process.
We may not always see immediate results, but consistent effort and intention will eventually lead to the outcomes we desire.
Letting go of the outcome, trusting that the universe has a plan for us.
Surrendering to the process, having faith that things will work out in the end.
Living in the present moment, not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future.
Right. Focusing on what we can control in this moment, letting go of the things that are outside of our control.
The only moment we have is the present moment. Make the most of it.
He also talks about the importance of finding our purpose, living a life that is meaningful and fulfilling.
We all have a unique purpose in life. It's our responsibility to discover it and live it to the fullest.
Exploring our passions, following our hearts, not being afraid to take risks, and stepping outside of our comfort zones.
Life is an adventure. Embrace the unknown and be open to new possibilities.
He talks about giving back to others, using your unique talents and gifts to make a positive impact on the world.
We're all interconnected. Our actions have a ripple effect on those around us.
Right, finding ways to contribute to something larger than yourself, leaving the world a better place than you found it.
Being kind to ourselves, practicing self-compassion, especially when we make mistakes or fall short of our expectations.
We're all works in progress. It's okay to not have everything figured out.
Learning from our mistakes, seeing them as opportunities for growth, not failures.
Embrace those mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving forward.
Be willing to ask for help when you need it.
We don't have to do everything alone. There are people who are willing to support us and help us achieve our goals.
Reaching out to your network of support. Not being afraid to ask for help.
Setting boundaries, saying no to things that don't align with your values or drain your energy.
Protecting your time and energy. Making sure you're investing them in things that truly matter.
Being present, savoring the moment, appreciating the beauty and wonder of the world around us.
Cultivating a sense of gratitude. Finding joy in the simple things in life.
Life is a precious gift. Make the most of every moment.
Connecting, building strong relationships with the people we love.
Human connection is essential for our well-being. We thrive when we feel loved, supported, and connected to others.
Nurturing our relationships. Making time for the people who matter most.
Forgiving ourselves and others.
Holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run. Forgiveness is a powerful act of self-love and healing.
Letting go of the past. Moving forward with a clean slate.
Gratitude. Appreciating the good things in our lives even when things are tough.
Making a conscious effort to focus on the positive, to cultivate a sense of gratitude for all that we have.
Remembering that even in the midst of challenges, there is always something to be grateful for. Remembering that even in the midst of challenges, there is always something to be grateful for.
It's like he's saying, look, things might be rough right now, but don't forget to, look around and appreciate what you do have.
Exactly. And that gratitude can be, well, incredibly empowering. It can help shift your perspective and find strength even when you feel depleted.
He doesn't shy away from the fact that growth and self-discovery can be challenging. Remember how he talks about enduring turbulence on a plane before reaching a state of calm?
Yeah, he's basically saying that every new level, every achievement requires, letting go of something familiar.
Yeah.
And embracing a period of discomfort.
He even says, thank God that's how we're made, conditioned. That's the buffer that separates mediocrity from greatness.
It's definitely a bold statement. But I get what he's saying. He's talking about that transformative potential of embracing those difficult moments.
And he doesn't just leave us hanging with the idea of enduring hardship, right? He also emphasizes cherishing the present moment, the little things that make life rich and meaningful.
He tells that heartwarming story about his friend, reminding him to celebrate every milestone, big or small. It's a reminder that now is the magic.
It's so easy to get caught up in chasing the next big thing that we forget to appreciate the beauty and wonder that's right in front of us in this very moment.
He encourages us to, find joy in the simple things, like a cup of coffee in the morning, or a deep conversation with a loved one.
He even says we should treat ourselves to fancy every now and then.
I like that.
So after taking this deep dive into this speech, what resonated with you the most? What are you going to take away from all this?
For me, is that idea of designing your own storm. He poses this question. If you could design your own storm, one that would push you to grow and evolve in the exact ways you need, what would it look like?
Wow, that's a powerful question.
It is, isn't it? It forces you to think about the specific challenges you need to face in order to become the best version of yourself.
It's about recognizing that growth often requires us to step outside our comfort zones, right? And embrace discomfort as a catalyst for transformation.
Absolutely.
So as you reflect on all of this, consider what your storm might look like and ask yourself, are you ready to step into it?